would considerably reduce the fuel consumption of a car by the use of water injected into the combustion chambers. They said they would give us the results the week after. The week after, they said, oh, the car's developed a fault. We'll get back to you next week. So the third week, not a mention was made of it. Now, could there be some intervention by either government or someone's come along, like ICI or whoever, and bought them out?
In answer to the question, could there, I always answer yes, there could, because in this world of ours, the strangest things could happen. The probability of such a suggestion I put to you is almost nil. The BBC are a very difficult company to buy out.
Yeah, I'm not talking about the...
It smacks of the tale of the everlasting light bulb that Philips bought for £5 million some years ago, and the motor vehicle that will actually run on air that apparently BP Oil has hidden in its works. Well, it's actually a load of crap. These things don't exist. They are just folklore that have developed, rather interesting, amusing folklore, but bullshit all the same.
Having worked as a fitter and knowing a bit about combustion, I'm prepared to believe, I mean, your car anyway, on a cold, damp day, it's a known fact, because the air's more dense and the vapour in it, it will accelerate better in that. I'm prepared to believe that there are such devices.
Well, I'm not suggesting that there isn't such a device as that you've just described.
Yeah.
But I doubt very much whether if such a device were manufactured, if such a device were invented, that whoever had that device would be prepared to sell it to an oil company that wasn't going to use it. They would be far more interested in selling it to a company that was going to use it, because of course the oil companies are frightened of it, because it can make millions and millions of pounds from their profits, and if it can do that, then I quite honestly want to continue owning it, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Okay? Anyway, thank you very much, Mike. We shall talk to Carlos soon.
To celebrate the return of Harp Lager to the Scaresbrick Hotel on Lord Street, Southport, we're having a special Heartbeat Party Night this Wednesday. There'll be fun for everyone, together with giveaways and prizes, including tickets to see Depeche Mode in concert. You'll be able to meet Red Rose Radio's Allan Beswick too from 7:45. So make sure you're at the Scaresbrick Hotel on Lord Street, Southport this Wednesday.
Well, I did tell you I'd be playing the ad later, and indeed that is what I have done. What I'm going to do now is play the jingle for the news, because it's very nearly 11 o'clock. We'll be talking to Carlos, if he's still with us, after the 11 o'clock news. Right now, of course, we shall stay here to find out what's happening in London, and indeed around the country and around the world, with IRN.
The 11 o'clock news, this is Steve Allen. The former beauty queen who says she snorted cocaine and made love with cricket star Ian Botham in the West Indies says she's sorry she ever met the England player. And the former Miss Barbados, Lindy Field, says she's apologising for the hassle her statements have caused the Botham family. Botham's lawyers are reported to be launching legal action over Miss Field's story in the News of the World. But tonight, the News of the World said no writs have been received by them. Botham's wife Cathy is flying to Antigua with other players' wives. The England team are playing the 5th test there on Friday. Violence against the Royal Ulster Constabulary continues. An officer has been shot in both legs after being ambushed by 4 armed men as he drove his car over Craigavon Bridge in Londonderry. Northern Ireland Police Chief Sir John Herman says it's nonsense to say the attacks on policemen and their families are a spontaneous outburst by a young loyalist upset at the Anglo-Irish Accord, which gives Dublin a say in the running of the province. Sir John says it's coordinated, as proved by a galaxy of weapons put on show in Belfast.
I think that to suggest that it was spontaneous is pursuing naivety or deception to the extreme. The people who are perpetrating the attacks on policemen's housing are, in the use of the old term, cannon fodder. I am satisfied that there is a very sinister hand behind it all.
3 more suspects have been arrested over the Italian wine poisoning scandal, which has killed at least 17 people. 15 suspects in all have been apprehended. They're accused of trafficking in methyl alcohol or collaborating with those who mix the liquid into cheap table wine. All those arrested are attached to 4 provincial wholesale companies. They lace the wine in order to increase its strength, and authorities in Italy are now checking all wine exports before they leave the country. A British businessman cleared by an Old Bailey jury of masterminding the escape of a Libyan facing drugs charges says he's been the victim of a show trial. 48-year-old Godfrey Shiner says the prosecution was the result of a shabby deal between the Egyptian and British governments. Tim Crook reports.
Godfrey Shiner's great misfortune has been knowing a Walter Mitty amateur James Bond called Anthony Gill, who worked as an agent for the Libyans. Gill lured him to Cairo and got him arrested for plotting an assassination of a Libyan exile. After 6 months in Cairo, he was deported to Britain, where Gill accused him of masterminding the escape of a Libyan facing drugs charges. Shiner thinks he was only released from Cairo after Britain agreed to put him on trial.
I think a lot of this was a show for the Egyptians. I'm not certain why, unless it was just an exchange for a sewerage contract.
Gill will be sentenced tomorrow. Tim Crook, IRN, the Old Bailey.
It looks as if a prestige ship launch on the Tyne may not go ahead because of a mass walkout by workers at the yard. Swan Hunter were due tomorrow to launch the £100 million frigate HMS Coventry to replace the vessel destroyed in the Falklands War. Relatives of those who died are due to watch the ceremony along with senior naval officers. But now the 2,000 workers who went on strike have been suspended, and it seems there's considerable doubt over the launch. Independent Radio News.
The Red Rose Radio Great Northwestern Half Marathon and 4.5 mile fun run will take place on Sunday the 8th of June. Both runs are sponsored by Bell Cuisine and will raise money for the Heartbeat Appeal. A commemorative medal will be awarded to all the finishers. For an entry and sponsorship form, forward a stamped addressed envelope to the Heartbeat Headquarters, 17A Friargate, Preston, PR1 2AU. Or collect the forms from Red Rose Radio reception.
And do, of course, collect those forms from Red Rose Radio reception during office hours. We're not actually available after 5:30 in the evening, 6 days a week. So that's 9 till 5:30 for the 6 days.
Ring him if you dare.
Allan Beswick, the Late Night Show.
And the number, if you do dare, or if you are dare, sorry about that, Preston 561,000. How are you doing, Carlos?
Hi, Alan.
Hello.
I would like to talk about bringing back hanging.
Go on.
I think that if the hanging rule came back, the crime rate on murder would be slightly reduced.
Slightly reduced?
More reduced, even, is put in that sense.
Well, you said slightly, and now you're saying what? Are you changing that?
No.
So you're happy to stick with slightly reduced?
Yes. Because you still get
Is it worth it to get... Well, yes, they still get some durbos, but is it worth it to bring about a slight reduction?
Yes.
It's worth the risk to mankind as a principle to put people to death when there is a slight reduction in the crime of murder?
Well, I think if you take someone's life, that person that took that life away should be also killed.
So, in the event of the person being found guilty by 12 persons good and true, and condemned to death, and put to death, and then some 3 years later we discovered that it was an error...
Yes, but if only they were sure, if only they had...
What do you mean, if only they...
evidence.
There's no such thing.
Person.
There's no such thing as total evidence.
If they didn't have enough evidence, they would just put him in prison until they found that...
Carlos, if they haven't got enough evidence, they'll find him not guilty. That is how it works in this country. You're not found guilty by degree. You are either guilty or you are not guilty. There is nothing in the middle.
Yeah, but...
What do you mean, yeah, but? There are no buts to that. It is a fact. In this country, you are tried, and if you are convicted, if there is sufficient evidence to convict you, you are found guilty. If there is insufficient evidence, you are released.
Yeah.
Right,
Okay.
so you're saying if there's sufficient evidence to convict, we should put them to death?
Yes.
Even though, on quite a good many occasions, in the last few years, we have had to release people from prison who were put in for murders they did not commit. And of course, if they were put to death, our opportunity to release them would, at the best, diminish, because they'd be dead. What do we do? Phone up the relatives and say, we've got a bag of bones you can have. It wasn't guilty after all. You want to make some soup? Or glue or something?
No.
Well, what do we do then? You see, Carlos, what you want is a perfect system. What you want is to be able to say to me, well, of course, we won't make mistakes like that, but you know that that is utter garbage, and it won't even come out of your mouth. So you're forced with the fact that we're going to put innocent people to death. Now,
Yes,
are you saying we must accept that or not?
There is a risk.
Well, we're not doubting whether it's a risk, Carlos. Please don't play games with words. It isn't a risk. It will happen. There's no question of it.
What about the people who die?
What about what? Never mind the people who die. Are you suggesting that innocent, non-criminal people should be put to death in order to reduce the crime figures?
No.
You are. You are, Carlos. You're saying exactly that. You're saying that we will get a slight reduce in the crime of murder. OK. But you're also agreeing that innocent people will die. Is that what you want the state to do on your behalf?
No.
To kill innocent people?
No, I don't want that to happen. No.
But you're prepared for them to do it even though you don't want it to happen? Well, are you prepared or not?
Well, if they have...
Are you prepared or not?
No.
No, you're not prepared to have innocent people die.
No.
So you're forced to two positions. That is, one where you want people who are murderers put to death, but you do not want innocent people put to death, and you're not prepared to accept innocent people being put to death.
No.
Therefore, you want an infallible legal system. Do you or don't you?
Yes.
But do you accept that you can't have one?
Well, couldn't you?
You cannot have an infallible legal system. How can you? It is impossible. Nothing is infallible. Least of all you, it would seem.
Okay.
It seems you're lost, Carlos. I'll do Edward. Edward has gone. On line 2 we have Alan. I'll do to you.
Hello, Alan. You there, Alan?
Yes, of course I am.
Now, I want to talk about YTS, because I'm leaving school at the moment, right?
You have 30 seconds.
How come?
Because I'm bored to the back teeth with YTS. You've got 30 seconds. Start now.
Right. And they give us no option about going on it, because otherwise you don't get any bill money or nothing, so I mean, that's the only opinion we've got, option. So what do we do?
No idea, and I don't care. I'll do Whitney.
Hi, Billy.
Thank you, Whitney. I'll do Barry.
Hello, Alan. Good evening. We've heard about Fall Feather Falls and Stingray and all the rest, but do you remember Sparking his magic piano?
I do, but that was on radio. And indeed is still on record, if I remember correctly.
No, I can't get a copy.
No, well, it isn't easy.
Did you really work with Mrs. Sweeney?
Yes, I did. I worked with Mary Sweeney.
I heard that on the radio. I was riveted.
She's great, isn't she?
All the people you get on these chat shows on the telly.
Yeah.
Where's the real people? I could listen to her all night.
She's wonderful, isn't she? Absolutely marvellous.
Or something. Was that why she was on?
No, I don't think so. Not as far as I'm aware. I think they just decided that... I think Radio 4 are doing an ad hoc series into, and I hate the term, normal people's lives, just ordinary people's lives.
Right, yeah.
And Mary Sweeney, I don't know how they got in touch with her or what, but they did this... They presumably pre-recorded it ages ago, and they're just doing this thing, and it's just Mary Sweeney sitting there reciting some of the things that have happened in her life, which have been quite amazing. And I used to work with her on the buses, which was quite a treat.
Yeah, when she was going on about the duffel coats and all that.
She's great. She was on about in their house when she was little, in their house, they didn't have enough chairs, and they used to take turns sitting down.
Right, couldn't sit in the brother's chair.
Wonderful. That's the kind of stuff that radio's made of.
We could do that on the telly, get her on one of the chat shows.
All in favour of it.
Right.
Smart as out.
When are you coming to Crewe?
When am I coming to Crewe? Next time my train breaks down.
See you.
See you, Barry. How do Norman?
Went round to my mate's house the other day. He said, fancy it, fancy...
Bring me back when you've learnt your script. Hello, Joanne.
Hello, Alan. I've been looking in my dictionary tonight for a word, and I found a wonderful word which you might like to add to your vocabulary.
Oh, it sounds ominous.
No, it's not rude. I wouldn't be so silly.
Not much chance of me wanting to add it then. Well, go on.
It's I wonder if you have heard of it. It's SCOBS, scobs. And it means dross of metals, shavings, sawdust or filings.
Right, well, no, I haven't, but...
And the adjectives are scobicular and scobiform. And I think a scobicular cretin or a scobiform scouse might sound very insulting, and all it means...
A scobicular cretin means you've not shaved, doesn't it?
No,
given that they're shaving.
It means resembling sawdust.
Resembling sawdust.
I think it's lovely.
Scobicular, we may use it.
Scobicular and scobiform.
Scobiform, it's great, isn't it? It's like somebody sent me on the other day saying clodpole. You're a clodpole.
A what?
A clodpole.
Clod?
C-L-O-D-P-O-L-E, a clodpole.
And what is that?
I'm damned if I know, they never said. It's a belter, isn't it? Get off here, you clodpole. You're nothing but a what is it? Scabular?
Scobicular.
Scobicular. You're nothing but a scobicular clodpole.
Look in your dictionary.
I shall indeed. It's a belter. Thank you very much, Joanne.
I know you like words.
I like words like scobs.
Scobicular.
Smart as out.
Okie doke.
Thank you very much. Ta-ra. If you've got any naughty words or words out of the dictionary, it could be a great game, couldn't it? Send them in. Well, all the daftest words you can find, send them in, and we might start using them on the wireless. You never know. You could invent a new insult. Sounds like a good idea. Anyway, Kevin, we'll be with you after the break.
To celebrate the return of Harp Lager to the Scaresbrick Hotel on Lord Street, Southport, we're having a special Heartbeat Party Night this Wednesday. There'll be fun for everyone, together with giveaways and prizes, including tickets to see Depeche Mode in concert. You'll be able to meet Red Rose Radio's Allan Beswick too from 7:45. So make sure you're at the Scaresbrick Hotel on Lord Street, Southport this Wednesday.
I think it's delirious, mate.
C60, C90, C120. Decisions.
This is the one you can depend on to deliver.
Have you tried the new D cassette from TDK yet?
It's the business!
See the fabulous new high-performance Toyotas now at John Wilding. The most powerful, normally aspirated 1.6 power units around are contained in the Corolla GT, Coupe and MR2. Each model is fuel-injected, equipped with a 5-speed gearbox, has side skirts, and is capable of 0 to 60 in under 8.7 seconds. Don't forget the superb Toyota 2-litre Celica GT either, which is fully air-conditioned, has power steering, electric windows, and a beautiful flow-line body shell. Arrange a test drive today at John Wilding of Banbury Garage, Morecambe, or Dixon Road, Blackpool.
John Wilding!
Attention all decision makers, sales directors, sales managers and buyers. You cannot afford to miss the Lancashire Industry and Commerce Business to Business exhibition at the Exhibition Centre, Norbreck Castle Hotel in Blackpool. This extravaganza on a wide cross-section of industry takes place on the 5th, 6th, 7th and 8th of April, with over 200 companies represented. It's the Northwest's leading industrial event. So make a date in your diary for the Lancashire Industry and Commerce Business to Business exhibition at the Norbreck Castle Exhibition Centre, 5th, 6th, 7th and 8th of April.
Hello, Kevin.
Hello, Alan. Why's Father Christmas a rotten lover?
Isn't that a little out of date?
Because it only comes
It's a little date. It's, ring me round about November, December time. Who was on line 8? Alice. How do, Glenn?
Hello, Alan. I'd like to talk about your treatment of Scousers. Because I think I've lived in Liverpool for all my life. And I've done a lot of research on this matter, and Toxteth, which is blown up in the media as one of the bad areas in Liverpool, it is a nice place, it is alright. It's not, you don't see loads of people...
What's all this got to do with my treatment of Scousers?
Because you think Scousers are mindless idiots.
How do you know what I think?
What?
How do you know what I think?
Because I've heard you on the radio.
What have you heard me say?
You call them mindless idiots.
I've never called anyone a mindless idiot to my knowledge, but what have you heard me say and when?
About Scousers, every time someone from Liverpool rings up...
You've rung up? Our last 5 callers, or 5 of our callers this evening, have all been from Liverpool.
Well...
How many times have we called anyone a mindless idiot tonight?
Well...
It seems you said you did some research. Where did you do it?
I've done it in all...
Well, you ought to do a bit more about what you've got to say, because you're talking crap.
I'm not talking crap.
All the evidence I've got is what you've said, and you are.
I'm not talking...
I have never called anybody a mindless idiot. I do not have a go at Scousers. I have a go at the foul-mouthed cretins that come on with Scouse accent.
Well, people who listen to the radio...
Pardon?
People who listen to you on the radio...
I don't give a monkey's toss what their opinion is. I'm telling you what I've said. If you don't like that, that's tough.
Well, they get a bad opinion of you.
Well, I don't give a damn what opinion they get of me. You're the one that's whinging, not me, pal. I don't give a toss what people think. Least of all, you.
You give people, like the various daily papers do, you give people a bad opinion of Scousers.
I'm not a daily paper. I don't give people a bad opinion of Scousers. Excuse me, Glenn. On this programme, Scousers manage, without any help from me, to give themselves a bad impression.
I know a lot of people.
I know a lot of people from Liverpool too. But Glenn, it is irrelevant. This programme is this programme. It is nothing else. And on this programme, more than 50% of people with accents not dissimilar to yours resort eventually to foul mouthing. Now, I can't help that. I'm not pleased about that. Maybe you're proud of that, but if you are, then your pride needs a little examination.
I'm not proud of that. I'm proud
Good. Well, that is a fact. That is an absolute, indisputable fact. Now, you live with it.
I love Liverpool.
I'm glad to hear it. I'm glad to hear it. I'm not in the least bit bothered by the fact that you love it.
Why don't you come down to argue with Allan as you have, and come down to Liverpool and see what people are really like?
Why should I come down? I won't find out what people are like by having an argue with Allan. You find out what people are like by living amongst them, as I did for 5 years.
Is it true you work for Radio Merseyside, yeah?
No.
No? Oh, well, I've got wrong information then.
No, it was Radio City.
Well, Radio City.
Well, they're entirely different.
Well, I know that...
You're the one that relies on research.
Yeah, well, I got told Radio Merseyside.
Well, you were misled.
You should know from working there that a lot of people who do ring up on Radio Merseyside, they have
Glenn, I don't know anything about the people who ring up on Radio Merseyside. I have no way of knowing.
Well, you have lived in Liverpool.
I know I have.
Well,
Glenn, my opinion about the people that come on this programme isn't based on 5 years of living in Liverpool, or indeed of 10 years living anywhere else. It's based on the people on this programme. And on this programme, more than 50% of those with accents not dissimilar to your very own resort ultimately to foul language. That is an unassailable fact.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to do that because
Well, I'm not suggesting that you should. I'm not suggesting anything other than it is a fact. Now, that is the only impression given by this programme. If you want to change that impression, I suggest you get the moronic dogs that come on and use that kind of language to stop doing it. But your chances of doing so, I suggest to you, are slim.
If I have a person shouting in the street something abusive to another person, I'll always...
This programme doesn't work on the basis of people shouting in the street, Glenn.
No,
you may not have noticed
know.
it's a radio programme.
Yeah.
Well, that is the assessment of this radio programme, or the assessment of those from your vicinity that take part in this radio programme. It is not my fault that Liverpool manages on this programme to give itself an appalling reputation.
Well, will you agree with me that 99% of Liverpool people...
I will not agree with anything that says 99% of the people of Liverpool, good or bad, because I can't survey 99% of the people of Liverpool. What I will say, for your comfort, seeing as I'm a little paranoid, is that when I lived in Liverpool, I enjoyed it.
Thanks very much, Allan.
Pleasure, madam. How do, Brian?
Hello, Allan. I'd like to talk to you about software piracy.
Well, you've got 10 seconds to say something sensible about it.
Okay, well, I think the prices are ridiculous.
Piracy's got nothing to do with prices. I said sensible, cretin. Get off. How do, David?
Allan? We interrupt this programme to broadcast an important wanted list published today by the Greater Manchester Police.
Off. How do, Brian?
Hi, it's Allan. How you doing?
What's it to you?
Yeah, I'd like to prove a point about what you call us Wiganers pie eaters.
Go on, prove your point.
Well,
but first of all, put the pie down.
Good joke. Most of the pie shops, as you call them, in Wigan are confectioners, and they don't sell many pies.
They don't sell many pies?
Well, as many as they usually do, like.
As many as they usually do? They don't sell as many as they usually do? Yeah. Do you want to practice the language and ring me back when you understand it? How do, Brian? How do, Jimmy?
I'd like your opinion on the TV programme Spitting Image, please.
You can't have an opinion if you haven't got one, neither have I. Is it Dan now, Alice? How do Dan?
Alan, I'm desperate. Alan.
Go on.
It's David.
Hello.
I believe you're going to purchase this house next door to me.
I don't know what you mean.
I'm going to get my pencil out. I'll put it in pencil to you.
You're going to put one in pencil? You've got me absolutely. Hang on a minute. David, pencil. House. David,
the house.
Pencil.
The Scouse. Next door to you.
Scout? You've got me lummoxed.
Think about it.
I don't understand it. You'll have to explain it. If you'd have said crayon...
No, it's definitely pencil.
Pencil?
Yeah.
David. Pencil.
1 L in Alan.
Oh, I know that, yes.
No?
No.
Yeah, I think you're pretending, Alan. Good night.
Thank you for your call.
Ta-da.
Have you any idea what he's talking about? Because I'm damned if I have. How do, Paddy?
Good evening, Alan.
Yes?
I want a bit of advice about making homebrew.
Making what?
Homebrew. Homebrew beer.
Oh, I see. Well, I don't know anything about it.
Yeah, well, just challenge it anyway. The way they do it, I've been doing it for the past 2 months, and I do everything according to the book, but yet it comes out all murky, you know, not clear, or no fizz in it or nothing. Any ideas?
Try trumping in the barrel, that should fizz it up. How do, Norman?
Went round my mate's house the other day. I sat down in his living room. He said, I've got a cup of tea going spare, Norm, if you fancy one. I said, I wouldn't mind a cup of tea. So he brought this cup of tea in. I said, well, it doesn't look too angry to me, mate. But you never can tell in this day and age. Nice cup of tea, though. Banana, banana, banana. Banana, banana, banana. Banana,
They don't make banana-flavoured tea. You can't fool me. How do, Sean?
Hello, Alan. Hello?
Yes?
Yeah? I was just wondering, you know when you go into a shop...
When I go in?
Well, when anybody goes into a shop,
I see, yes.
you buy something...
Well, some people do, yes.
Are you entitled to a receipt every time?
Yes.
Yeah, and what if they argue and say that they're not going to give you a receipt?
Don't buy the goods.
Yeah, but what if you've always bought it?
You're entitled to a receipt. Tell them you want a receipt. And don't leave the shop till you get one.
Okay, thank you.
All right?
Right, bye.
Right. We have another Sean. How
Hello,
do
hello.
you do? Yeah.
I want to talk about Ian Botham.
What do you want to say?
Well, I think England should sack him and get rid of him.
Why?
Because of this taking drugs business.
Well, it's not been proven, and indeed he's issued a writ about it.
Yeah, but I believe he has been taking it.
Well, that's because you're prepared to believe anything, because you don't like him.
No.
Because you're jealous, because
He's
you're a
already-
prat. How do, Alison?
Hello, Alan. I took out an insurance on a motor car at the end of February. £58.50 they quoted me, because I rang up to get the...
Doesn't matter, they quoted you £58.50, that's all we care about. What do you want to know now?
Oh, well, anyway, they've now sent me a letter saying that they classed it as the wrong group and I had to pay an outstanding balance of £17. Am I liable to pay it?
No, tell them to push off. Tell them if they want to cancel it, you'll pay for the bit you've had at the rate they quoted, but push off.
Yeah.
In other words, in fact, just sit there and say, I'm not paying any more. Do nothing.
Right.
Just write back and say, I'm not paying any more, and that's the end of it.
Yeah,
And see if
okay.
they sue you for the balance. And if they do, go to court and say, it wasn't my fault, it was theirs.
Right, okay.
All right? Ta-da.
Bye.
How do, Susan?
Hello, Alan.
Yep.
I'd like to ask for your advice if I can.
I don't want any.
I said I'd like to ask you.
Oh, I thought you said you'd like to give me some. Go on.
Well, there's this guy that lives across the back from us, and every night he kind of undresses in front of the window and leaves his curtains open and everything. It's quite embarrassing when you walk into the bedroom and, like, you're going to close the curtains so you can go to bed. And he's stood there. And he does this every night, and he's been doing it for quite a while now. And I was wondering if there's anything I could do about it.
Yeah. Look the other way.
Yeah, but, I mean, it's not my fault he's doing it. I mean, it's
Well,
not my...
I mean, you've got to really go some to see something from across the road, haven't you?
Well, it's kind of across the back garden, kind of.
Across the back garden. So there's not much to see on a bloke from that distance.
But it's terrible. I've got a younger sister, and she's in the same...
Well, it doesn't matter.
room. There's nothing I can do about it at all.
Well, if you want to do something, yeah, report him to the police for indecent exposure.
So, will the police do something about it?
Well, you'll find that out when you reported it.
Okay, thanks a lot, Alan.
So now.
Bye-bye.
What a fool. How do, Robbie?
Hello, Alan. Let's talk about Manchester, please.
Well, you better get on with it.
They're not going to Wembley this year.
So what does it matter?
Because they're crap, fatty.
And what does that matter?
Because they are.
And what is going to Wembley this year?
Liverpool and Everton.
Well, that'll be great, won't it?
Yeah.
London will be wrecked. How do, Andy? Goodbye, Andy. How do, John?
Hello. Hello.
Yes, we've done that. What do you want?
Yeah, I want to know why is it so hard to get through to you,
I've no idea, but try again, see if it gets any easier. Hello, Samantha. Thank you, Samantha. Hello, Brian.
Alan? Alan?
Yes, we've done all that.
Don't you think...
I don't think at all. Goodbye. How do, Brian? We're done, Brian. How do, Phil?
Bananas, bananas, bananas.
Thank you, Phil.
And the crowds are really building up here at Jordan's. I'll just try and have a word. Excuse me, sir. You look as though you've come a long way to buy this new Vauxhall.
When I heard they were selling the new Vauxhalls, including the new Belmont at 0% finance, I fought off a gauntlet of car dealers just to get here. I mean, not even Dirty Harry down the road can beat this offer.
People come from far and near to buy a new car with 0% finance. From Jordan's, the new Vauxhall Centre, East Bank Street, Southport. Telephone Southport 33066 for directions.
The Vauxhall Car Centre, Southport 33066.
Did you know that 3 people out of 7 in Lancashire have relations in Australia? Red Rose Radio and National Travel World do, and that's why we want to invite you to our Australian evening at Preston Guildhall on Friday, April the 11th. There will be the fabulous Jim Bowen's Bullseye and full cabaret show with great prizes to be won. Everyone attending the show will go into the grand draw for a return aircraft seat with Qantas to Melbourne or Sydney, and the winner of the Bullseye game will win 2 weeks holiday in Australia. There'll be lots of giveaways and lots of surprises, so don't miss out. Book your ticket at any branch of National Travel World or Red Rose Reception now. They're only £2 each, and a bus will run you to and from the show free of charge. Make it a night to remember with Jim Bowen's Bullseye, Qantas, National Travel World and Red Rose Radio on Friday, April the 11th.
Hello, Tracy.
Hello, Ian. I went to the police station and with a dog that I'd found, and it kept, following me. It looked rather underfed, and I walked into the police station and they said to me, let it back outside and let's see if it follows it again. And they wouldn't take this dog off me, It was really underfed. You could see all its ribs and everything, I was wondering what could you do about it.
And why should the police take it off you?
Well, generally they take dogs off. You don't leave that follow you and that are lost. It was really underfed. Generally put it in a police compound.
Or get in touch with the RSPCA.
Yeah, I did get in touch with them first of all. They didn't want to know. They said they had no place to put it.
I've never heard anything like it in my life. It sounds ludicrous. Write to the Chief Constable and write to the Chief of the RSPCA and tell them they ought to get their fingers out and get it sorted. How do, Sharon?
Hello, Alan? Hello?
How many times do you want me to say hello?
Why do you cut people off?
Because they're prats. How do, Greg?
Hello, Alan. I have the oldest typewriter in the world.
I bet you've not.
It types in pencil.
I bet you've not.
It types in pencil, Alan.
I bet it doesn't.
It does.
It doesn't.
I'm not messing.
Yeah, I'm messing. How do, Tim?
Alright, fatty.
Yes. How do, Janice?
Hello, Alan. I'd like to talk... Can I talk about contraceptives now?
Yeah.
Yeah. Why is it that Catholics can't use them?
They can.
No, they can't. Not really, because...
Well, if you mean why is it forbidden for them to use them...
Yeah, okay.
Because the Pope has decreed that it should be forbidden, and the Pope, in matters of religion, is believed to be infallible because he's the direct messenger of God.
Yeah, but just because the Pope can't make love doesn't mean the Catholics can't, does it?
Well, Janice, the answer to your question is that the Roman Catholic teaches that the Pope, in matters of doctrine and the like, is infallible because his decisions are not his...
Say that again.
Oh, good Lord, it's like talking to an Alsatian.
No, it's not.
Well, shut up and listen carefully. Turn your radio off or shut the cretin up that's mithering in the background. Which is it?
Shut up, dickhead.
Thank you. Now then, the reason the Pope is allowed to make such decisions is because of the teaching of the religion, the Roman Catholic religion. Janice, I don't know who you share your life with, but will you tell him from me that he shares it with a whore?
For the best deals on Vauxhall Opel cars, get down to Moreland Motors, Blackpool's main Vauxhall Opel dealer.
Moreland Motors.
It's the great Red Rose Radio Cabaret Night Out. On Thursday the 17th of April at 7 p.m, our coaches will be leaving Lancaster, Blackpool, Blackburn and Preston, bound for the world's most sophisticated nightclub, the Ritz Cabaret Club. On arriving at the Ritz, you'll be served with a superb basket meal, and then you'll be able to enjoy the voice of international singing star Tony Christie, plus supporting artist comedian Eddie Flanagan. The one and only Wobbly Warren will be there to greet you, and will ensure your evening goes with a bang. The fully inclusive price, including the return coach trip, is just £12 per head. So reserve your place now by calling us on Preston 556 301. Don't forget the date, April the 17th, for the great Red Rose Radio Cabaret Night Out.
Well, we've got rid of the slag called Janice. Let's hope Brenda is far more amenable. I'm sure she is. Hello, Brenda.
Hello, Alan. Alan, can you tell us what's happened to the advert, the Barry Noble one? That away man, I'm Barry Noble.
Well, the advert for the company has changed because Barry Noble's no longer able to make such ads owing to the fact that he's dead.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know.
It's all right. He's not bothered either way.
Okay, thank you.
All right, but the company's still there. Barry Noble.
Yeah, it was just that, that stupid advert that used to come on. I'm Barry Noble.
Ah, well, he's nobody now. He's dead.
Oh, right.
Okay.
Bye.
All right. Who's on line 8, Alice? How do, Julia? Before we talk to Julia, allow me to say to the RPH, the Royal Preston Hospital, how do to you, and thank you very much for all you're doing for Alice, for at least for one of Alice's relatives. How do, Julian?
Hello, I want to know if...
Oughtn't you to be in bed, child? How do, Mary?
Good evening, Alan. I'm rather concerned that Felix doesn't phone you up anymore. Whatever happened to him?
It rather depends who he is.
Felix the cat.
Oh, he's probably donned another character.
Oh, that's all right. I was worried that he perhaps had one of those horrible flea collars put on him. He's got himself snagged up on a tree somewhere.
Well, don't start all that again. We've had a belly full of flea collars and heavens above. Hey?
All right.
Thank you very much.
Good night.
Oh, look after your spoons, folks. There's somebody called Yuri coming on. How do, Yuri?
Hello, do swidania, Komredzki.
Thank you very much. Well, seems to have been found by the KGB. How do, Angie?
Andy?
Sorry, Andy.
Thank you. I'd like to say that I think they should be united. I think that we should pull out of Ireland and let them fight each other and kill each other.
You'd like that, would you, if they all killed each other?
Yeah, I'd love it, because...
Oh, well, goodbye. We don't talk to filth like you. Hello, Paddy.
Yeah, how again, Alan?
Very well, what do you want?
What's the difference between McDonald's and the White House?
You what?
What's the difference between McDonald's and the White House? Alan?
I don't know.
None. They both have
it's the Ronnie joke, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, ta-ra.
Ta-ra. How do, Kevin?
I'd just like to say that...
We don't talk to anyone that starts their conversation with I'd just like to say, how do, James?
Hello? I'd like to talk about fishing.
Go on.
You eat fish, don't you?
That's a question.
Well, you've got to kill fish to eat them.
Is that it?
Well, you're an hypocrite because...
James, do you fish to eat?
Pardon?
Granted. When you go out fishing, do you eat all that you catch?
Yeah.
You do? Every single thing you catch, you eat it?
Yeah.
Fine. Got no complaints about you. I've got no complaints about you.
Well, you say fish is... You don't like...
James, you must, if you're going to quote me, make at least a marginal attempt to get it right. I object to inflicting cruelty upon animals merely for the fun of it. And that is what fishermen do predominantly. Now, fishing for food, fine. It's just like killing a cow. I'm all in favour of it.
Well, you say fishing...
James, it would seem... James, fishing is cruel. There's no way round that.
Well, you eat it, don't you?
Yes, and I have no objection whatsoever to being cruel to another creature so that I can eat it, as long as that cruelty is kept to a minimum. What I do object to is cruelty for fun.
Well, it's fun, isn't it, fishing?
No.
It is?
It is to some people, and as far as I'm concerned, people who get pleasure from the act of inflicting injury upon an animal are thick, stupid, and abominable.
Well, you eat them, don't you?
You seem, James, to be actually admitting that you are thick by not being able to understand the difference between the two types of fishing, or the results of the two fishing, as I've just outlined.
Have you ever fished?
What has that got to do with it, James?
You have never felt like it, have you?
I've never felt like what?
Fishing.
Well, what has that got to do with it, James?
So you eat them?
Yes, we've established that, James. Without any doubt, I eat fish, and I enjoy eating fish. And all the fish I eat are dead at the time.
Well,
and all of
aren't
them...
they?
Yes. We've already established that, James. It seems you are unable to grasp the point I'm making, but that's because you're a pleb. Isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes. Good. How do, Barry?
Hello, Alan. Now then, Alan, I just want to clear up this point. I've got this signed photograph here of you, and, you know, the one with the X on the bottom of it. And it's spelt with an A. Now, how come everyone rings up and says, hello, Alan, with that's a U? I mean, surely there's some discrepancy here, and I thought...
Well, Barry, perhaps that's a question you should address to those people that address me thus.
Well, I would have thought, you know, yourself being such an intelligent person as you're telling us all the time, and...
I've never said I'm intelligent.
Well, I think you'd like to pass over that impression to the...
I don't give a toss. That is one thing I do say. I don't give a damn what people think.
But I think someone like yourself, who obviously sets out for standards on radio...
Well, I don't set out any standards. This programme's crap. It's the worst programme on the radio. I wouldn't listen to it if the money was marvellous.
Well, can I call you Alan, then?
You can call me what the pig in hell you like. I don't give a monkey's cut.
Oh, see you, Alan.
Goodbye, Burry. How do, Dave?
Hello, Alan. I'd like to talk about the PLO for me.
Yeah?
Well, I think it's about time the press stopped slagging off the PLO about being terrorists.
Well, they are terrorists.
They're not. Well, there's
what do you mean they're not? They are.
Not exactly. They're
what do you mean, not exactly?
Fighting for their own...
They are terrorists. There's no way round that. They are. Their objectives may well be laudable, but planting bombs on planes with women and children and civilians on board...
They're not the real PLO, Alan.
They're not the real PLO?
No, they're just like...
You mean Yasser Arafat is really a good Catholic lad?
No.
He's a murderer. He's a filthy, disgusting murderer. No, he murders women and children.
The Jews are worse murderers than them.
That doesn't make the PLO right.
The PLO
Excuse me.
And killed 60 people.
Excuse me. That doesn't make the PLO right.
It does. They're fighting for their own...
First of all, let us distinguish between Jews and Israelis. There is a difference. It may be too subtle for your low intellect, but there is.
Thanks, Paul.
It's a pleasure. You deserved it. And the PLO are not Palestinians, or not collectively Palestinians, although they are, quite obviously, a Palestinian liberation organisation, as you rightly say. But they are not representative of the Palestinian, per se. Now, the Palestinian Liberation Organisation is a terrorist body. Whether their objectives are acceptable or not is irrelevant. They are a terrorist body. Do you accept that or not?
Yeah.
Right. So to say that the Palestinians are not terrorists, I'm prepared to agree with you. To say that the PLO are not terrorists, I reject in its entirety. They are.
Well,
and indeed, you say they're terrorists as well.
Alan, do you admit that the Israelis and the Christians, the Christian militiamen, are out of their own rights in throwing the Palestinians off their own land?
The problem is, it wasn't the Israelis that threw them off.
No,
it was the British government that threw them off.
Yeah.
And they didn't throw them off. They merely gave the government to an Israeli government that they created. And yes, I do believe that the Middle Eastern problem is exactly that, a massive problem. I do not accept that it will ever be resolved through the barrel of a gun. And the sooner the PLO and that fascist government in Israel realise that, the better.
Right.
Okay?
Okay, thanks.
Well, the PLO are terrorists. How do, Joan? How do, Dawn? How do, Sean?
Hello.
Right, eventually, yes. How do, Sean?
Hey, hello. I've just changed jobs recently, and the last job that I had, well, I had to work late hours, 2 o'clock in the morning, somewhat similar hours to what you're working, actually. I changed the jobs because of the money and that, but that's not the point. And I'm working during the day now, and with me working during the day as opposed to working late, I can't seem to get to sleep, if you understand. I'm awake in the hours whereas I was working 2 o'clock. I know you work 2 o'clock, and I don't know what time you get to sleep after you finish work, but I'm finding it hard to adjust to working during the day after working late hours. I just wondered if you had any theories as to how to get to sleep early. I know you finish at 2. Do you just go
The answer to getting to sleep, Sean, is a clear conscience. A clear conscience. Be at ease with yourself and be tired and you will sleep.
And you don't have any problems finishing?
I don't have any problems at all. I go home and when I go to bed, I sleep. Be it 3 o'clock in the morning or 10 o'clock in the morning, I sleep.
Well, Okay, then well, I suppose I just have to wait till my clock adjusts to it then.
I think that is the only answer, Sean. It takes about 3 weeks for your clock to adjust entirely, I am told, by those people that travel back from places like Australia and get the old jet lag, because you've got a kind of jet lag, of course.
No, you're quite right. Anyway, if you hear anybody ringing up and you're snoring on the line, it's me.
Okay.
Okay,
We'll bear that in mind. How do Bernard?
All right. I'd like to talk about unfair dismissal.
Go on.
I've been working at a firm for, 3 years. And they come up to us one day and they said, we reckon you're redundant, right? And a week later, they took 3 more welders on, you know. What can I do about that?
So they got rid of you as a welder,
yeah,
and they employed another welder,
yeah,
but they dismissed you for redundancy.
Yeah.
On the face of it, you have a claim for unfair dismissal.
Yeah.
Now the problem is that, of course, redundancy is a fair dismissal. So
Yeah.
you would have to argue that there was not a redundancy, wouldn't you? Now that can be very difficult.
Yeah.
The kind of defence that has been put in the past successfully is that at the time we dismissed Bernard, we had no more work for him. Once he'd gone, we then got some more orders and we required more people. So we took on more people. That is the kind of defence. Now if you can overcome that defence, you're another step in the right direction.
Yeah, but a week later took 3 more welders on.
Well, indeed. A week later, it may have been 5 hours after you left the building with your final payment in your pocket, that somebody phoned up and said, look, can you weld me a new factory together, please? And they immediately needed 3 more welders. And if that is the case, you will lose. If that is not the case, you have a chance of winning. But that's what you're up against. Have you got a trades union?
No,
You've not?
non-union firm.
Non-union
Cowboy firm.
Well, you may describe it as a cowboy firm. They
It's
employed you.
actually, they made 2 more redundant as well.
Well, indeed. Well, that obviously strengthens your point that they could have, what should we say, breached the redundancy rules.
Yeah.
Strengthens your point. Whether it would win your case, I suggest you discuss it with a solicitor.
Yeah.
All right?
Yeah, but I've gone for a solicitor, right, and refused legal aid.
Well, yes, of course they've refused
it.
Well, fine. But does your solicitor say there is a case to pursue?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, get it pursued then.
What you talk? How much money are you talking about getting?
Well, you've just told me that they want £200.
No, I mean, you know,
if you won.
Tribunal.
If you won. Rather depends on a number of circumstances. Perhaps you're...
Yeah. Well, I'm knocking on 60.
Well, your solicitor may...